All right, y'all. Welcome to the next installment of the Dismount Podcast. And today we are discussing empathy, the art of connecting. Ooh. I changed the title on you, by the way.
Hell yeah.
I didn't mean to, but I did.
What was the previous title?
Treat others the way that you like to be treated.
Honestly, you could have lied to me.
Outdated.
I wouldn't have.
Overused.
Overused, outdated. Now, today, guys, we are discussing empathy. We got Derek, we got Brandon, and we got myself, Zach, and we're about to rip. What is your definition of empathy? Is empathy a skill? What is your definition of sympathy? What is your definition of compassion? What is your definition of apathy? And then overall, we are going to sit there and discuss the animals and different people that we've had that have either shown us empathy. Do we show empathy back? How do we judge that type of relationship and connection that we have with others? Boom. All right, y'all. Let's rip. What is your definition of empathy? I'm going to take this one right off the bat, and I'm going to throw it out there that my definition of empathy is meeting someone's energy at the same place. So, that being said, someone is completely down in the dumps. I had this two different ways. I had this on like the beautiful, like I'm at the top of the peak, and I had this at the I'm in the valley and we're in a dark place. So, your buddy comes to you and is like, I just won the lottery. And you're like, okay, cool. That would be so douche in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
dude. What's that do for me? Like, you jump, you joy, get excited. Like, that is something to be excited about. That is your friend. Like, you show emotions that connect to that same type of thing. It doesn't matter if you're in the background going, screw that son of a bitch. That person, they get it all, man. They were so lucky growing up. They had all the girls. Everybody liked them. Oh, now they win the lottery too. Like,
God, I hate that guy. I think I know that guy.
Do you know that guy?
Yeah, I think I know that guy. He gets everything.
he gets everything. And then on the other side of being in such a dark place, and you're just in that despair, and someone just comes along and goes, hey, I just won the lottery. Like, what? Dude, are you kidding me?
Leave me alone. Can't you see I'm sulking over here? I'm having a bad day. You just freaking walk by at that.
Hit me with that one.
Let me sit in my sorrows.
Yeah. So empathy for me was matching someone's energy
like
at
that.
the same place.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you're on the same playing field.
Yeah.
You mentioned later in notes, but there's a power construct of this a little bit, like with these different things we're going to talk about. But with that one, it's like trying to meet someone where they're at. And that sometimes, most of the time, it's probably like you got to dig down deep inside yourself a little bit to try to emotionally be available for that person.
We have to find something that actually, like, how do I put the rain cloud over top of myself right now to actually feel what they're feeling?
Yeah, instead of like, well, you could let them under your umbrella. You just take the umbrella away. You're like, I'll just stand here in the rain with you. No big deal.
Yeah. I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Standing in the rain together.
Mm-hmm.
Tid, what is your definition of empathy?
Also, I got to give you kudos. It's a very, at least for me, that's a very good definition of empathy. Mine is trying to understand someone's needs and trying to anticipate how they want to be treated. Comes back to that cliche of treat others as you want to be treated. But I think there's an extension of that of trying to understand that person's culture, try to understand that individual, how they were brought up. So you're not just jumping in and diving in off of what you think empathy is, but you're trying to understand, do they want help? Do they need help? Do they know they need help? Are they going to refuse help even though they need help? And you're the guy who's like, it'd be a lot easier if you just let me grab the other side of that box. Knowing that person's needs and knowing like their ego, everything involved as much as you can to try to anticipate, okay, this person needs help. But me backing off and just saying, hey, man, that looks heavy is good enough for them. Like getting that far to understand, does that person actually want it? And there's a good example I have. I don't know if you guys read what I wrote, but there's a really funny thing Trisha brought up. And I don't think it's under this section, but I got to bring it up. So Trisha, what did the person say to her?
You're looking full.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So she said, "Oh, you look full. Like your face looks really full." And I'm like, she told me this, and I turned to Trisha. I go, "Huh? Why didn't she tell you that you look tired while she's at it?"
Yeah. Oh.
And then Trisha started cracking up, and that for me is a state of empathy because I understand and know. Don't ever tell any women they look tired, no matter how tired they look. You just don't. And it's coming from the perspective of if you tell them they look tired, it is the exact same as telling a woman they look like shit. So just don't do it. Even if you don't mean, oh, you look ugly. You don't mean you look like shit. You just mean genuinely, you look tired, like you need to sleep. You just don't say it. You just never say it, guys. Don't ever tell a woman she looks tired.
This might be the one and only place of do trust us. Don't do that.
Yeah. Never tell a woman she looks tired.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was me coming from a state of empathy. Oh, I don't know how you feel, but I have an idea of how you feel. So, what a bitch. Can't believe she said that. Can't believe she said your face looks full. Nah, she wasn't being a bitch. But yeah, I just took that moment to join Trisha and sent when that without the umbrella with her. Like, yeah, that's kind of fucked up for her to say that. But,
Dude, the comedic empath. Oh, that's
Oh.
that's one I didn't even think about.
Yeah.
Like having the ability to actually, like, you hit a perfect like one-liner zinger in there
yeah,
that just brought that person to like, oh wow, they know exactly how I feel right now.
yeah.
That was
And as a man, I'm getting myself credits. Like,
he said I'm giving
chuck.
Yeah.
When I say something stupid later, that will cross that off.
I'm gonna pull that one out of the back.
Yeah, I like that. Like you're able to like read the room, and
Mhm.
I was thinking about with empathy, like you can't pour from an empty glass on that situation. So maybe you were trying to think of a way that you could bring something to the table, and through that was you just cracking a joke. But it totally hit. Like you're able to read
Mhm.
the room and be like, cool. Like I think this will like add a little bit of relief to the situation, and obviously it got through, and you were able to kind of meet that, meet them on the even playing field we just talked about, which is cool.
How's empathy for you look?
The first thing I thought about was like, okay, you're like, yeah, putting yourself in someone else's shoes, like trying to like feel and understand where they're coming from, like leave that space open for them to communicate. Like you got to be a really good listener, I think is the number one thing. One thing is someone like they're not focused on making it about them. They're just able to sit there and, listen, have you like spill their guts to them, and try to be aware of the situation, the fact that like you're there for them. You're not there for you. And a lot of times I feel like it gits turned into that where people think, oh, I'm showing empathy. Like, oh, like, yeah, oh, dude, I totally understand what you're talking about. This one time, and you're like, and I believe me, I've been there. That's I thought like that would be like, I think I've had a conversation with my girlfriend about it actually, is like, hey, like, sometimes like I appreciate your point of view. This is my brother actually. I appreciate your point of view, and that's great and everything, but like I'm just coming to you to like vent. Like, can't I just have that space to vent? Like, I don't need to hear about like the situations you found yourself in, and now you're talking for 5 minutes, and like now I'm just sitting here like, fuck, dude, I don't feel any better about this situation. Like, I came to you for comfort. You know what I mean? Another thing I thought about was just seeing people as a person and not so much as like an object. That you have to see them as a human being, not someone that you have around for your needs or whatever it might be. The first thing that came to mind with that was thinking of Brandon playing Grand Theft Auto. Like you got to treat people as if they're human beings, not as if you could just drive up on the sidewalk and run over 30 people and have no repercussions for said situation.
I have never done that in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Totally done
Okay.
that.
Yeah, but I think just like understanding like people have like their own journey, their beliefs, emotions, like where they come from in a certain way, like that's hard too. Is like talking to my girlfriend as like a woman or someone for like she's like from a Muslim background or whatever it might be. Like I don't understand that at all. So like hearing that like she might have something to speak to on that, like I don't have much to offer, which is really good in that situation because that's kind of the point. Like if I really want to show like actual empathy in that situation, it's just having that space where she can find comfort in coming to me, talking to me about something that maybe I don't identify with, and that's great because I don't have much to say about it, so I can just have that space open. But kind of just being there for that person, and like you said, whether it's standing in the rain or whatever comparison you want to make to it, it's just making yourself available as much as you can without making it about yourself.
I feel like you're not a guru at all in that situation. Like being a real empath, like being really empathetic, you're not a guru.
Yeah.
You're sitting there, and that was something that I believe I put in the notes of like, how long do you like it can be forever, man. Like I feel like there are situations where people out there have experienced sitting there for years, maybe decades, waiting for that person to actually speak to them, to feel comfortable to share that type
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah, and then we'll transition to the second bit about being a skill, but like I think a lot of times, like I mentioned in the past, like trying to be empathetic in that situation. On the other side, it's like, dude, you don't have anything to offer in this situation. Like you're either like you're ran down and like you really can't make yourself available to that. Like you're not really truly listening. You're just kind of acting like you are, or again, making the situation about yourself. Like those things are tough. Where on the other side, like you have to refine that a lot. Like that's a lot of work to be able to even work on yourself. That has nothing to do with like that building as a skill. Like I feel like you have to like really trust yourself, understand yourself, make yourself vulnerable in that situation too, where like you have to really kind of put yourself out there in that situation.
I think there's a big difference between going to the bar and shooting shit with your homie and, hey, bro, I need to go to the bar.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
Go, hey, homie, you want to go get a couple beers? Is, hey, let's go bullshit about your bullshit and my bullshit and who's got the better bullshit.
Yeah.
Because that, to me, is that conversation versus, hey, man, do you mind meeting me? Like, I need to talk.
Yeah.
And it's most of the time it ain't even gonna be that I need to talk, but I feel like there's a different tone between, hey, you want to go grab a couple beers versus, hey man, I need to go hit the bar with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or I mean, I bet you could phrase it a little bit better than I
I get
am,
exactly what you're saying. Though.
Yeah.
I think most people would, in the sense of like, yeah, like, hey, I'm getting an IOU your way. You're gonna listen to me blab for a while. Like I got some shit on my mind. I trust you. You're gonna sit there and listen to me talk.
Or we're gonna sit here and we're gonna drink 3 beers, and it's gonna 2 periods of the hockey game are gonna go by, and I haven't said a damn word yet.
And that's okay too.
And that's perfectly
That's
okay.
perfectly fine. Like again, you gotta meet them on that even playing ground. I added this late, but I was thinking about. It's just funny thinking about people who identify as empaths. Like I don't feel like that's such a situation now, but even maybe a couple years ago, people were, whether they were or not, like, oh, I'm an empath. Like I can just feel a room. Like I can look in all of your eyes. I know exactly how you feel. I feel it too. And I don't know that there's many people out there who genuinely are an empath. Like I don't see it. Like you're someone who deeply absorbs and like feels their emotions as if they were your own. And a lot of times I feel like the negative side of that is like I just said, oh yeah, no, I totally understand where you're coming from. Yeah, this one time band camp, or like, they use it to, fuel drama, or they become judgmental, or they're projecting their own feelings. And like, have you guys ever run into someone who identified as being an empath and then just saw directly through their bullshit? Or maybe you didn't at all. Maybe they truly were that kind of person. I'm sure there might be a little bit of both, but just curious if you guys have ran into someone
Grad
like
school.
That. Yeah.
You have? I want to
mean,
hear this story.
I mean, everybody, when they come through grad school, I would say most of the people coming through studying psychology, just the bachelor level, they will go out into real life and be like, oh, no, I know exactly what this is. I got a bachelor's degree in psychology. Famous words. Literally ran into it at the airport. And I'm sitting there. I'm a counselor. Well, I studied to become a counselor. I am not practicing. Trisha, my wife, psychologist, and we hear this one person, they go, oh, that person had a lot of gadgets on their backpack. They have autism. It's like, I know, I studied psychology in undergrad. And I'm like, that does not qualify you to make a diagnosis. I don't even feel comfortable making diagnoses. Yeah. Someone's book bag can tell you a lot, but it does not tell you. But
right. And that comes off, like I said, judgmental. Like that comes off judgmental. Yeah. Like you're just like, oh, I know, I've seen that before. Buh, 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 buh. And like, okay, like, first of all, you didn't really need to bring it up. Second of all, you might not be right,
And
I feel like an empath would actually be someone who would not be self-proclaimed, but be someone who is like dubbed that by other people.
They're not walking around with a sticker that says, hello, my name is empath.
Hello, this is my special skill.
They have a PA license plate, just custom empath.
I'm going to get one of those just for the fun of it.
Are you? Driving around,
driving to cut everybody off.
Yeah, driving a Dodge Hellcat, just cutting everybody off.
No, but I would like to, if I ever did get a motorcycle,
Well, at least that
it
guy
would be empath on the motorcycle, and then you just zip through everybody. Just you hit the center line drive, all that stuff.
Well, at least he understands how much he pissed me off. Oh, dude. Absolutely. So
he's totally in tune with the frequencies of this highway.
yeah.
Great job cutting us off.
Yeah.
You didn't cause any stress for anybody.
No, honestly, he's right. I think I needed him to cut me off. I think that changed everything.
But also for any person studying, I feel like there is a certain population of the people you study with who do kind of identify as that. That's, I think, kind of part of the territory whenever you're studying to become someone in the mental health field. I think a lot of people, they identify as empaths whenever they're really not there yet.
I think about my girlfriend's sad about something. Like she's very like physically and like visibly upset. And I'm like, I just don't know a lot of people who would be able to like, oh man, now that you explain that, like, I just like, I just start like crying. Like that's what I've envisioned. Is like you are like, if you're gonna feel it the way they feel it, then like you're showing it the way they show it. And just I don't know, that just hasn't struck. At least you're like you said, like a guru or like someone who just someone in the woo woo universe. Outside of those people, I don't know.
I would say that for me, I would like to think of myself as empathetic.
Yes.
I would like to think of the fact that I can walk into a room, like for instance, being at work and different things like that, and I can read the room, I can read the energy, I can read how I should, don't pick on Darnold today because you can tell Darnold's not having a good day.
Mm-hmm.
And, let's use Susie today. Susie would be the butt of the jokes, and Susie, and then you're sitting there like, whoa, what the hell? That's not an empath.
No.
Holy shit, what the fuck? That's not
Yeah.
an empath. That's just someone who can really like.
You might have high emotional intelligence.
Mhm.
You know, I don't think that correlates with being an empath though.
And so, would you say that an empath is someone that just instantaneously feels all of that energy? Is what you're saying?
That's what I assume it would be. That's why I find it hard for someone to actually identify with that. I feel that to be tough.
And I would agree with you. I feel like you could say you're empathetic. I don't know if you could say that you're completely an empath.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I know that I will sit. This is probably the first time I've said this on this podcast. It might be the last time I say this on this podcast. Probably not. But I am extremely sensitive of a person.
Mhm.
Highly sensitive.
Yeah.
I've been highly sensitive since I've been a little kid.
Yep.
And unfortunate, that is not a great skill to have. Being an empath, to me, is a true skill.
Mm-hmm.
And is definitely a skill that I think is probably one of the hardest to actually fully acquire.
Mhm.
What's your take? What's your take on empathy being a skill?
I 100% agree. Definitely a skill. I think whenever I put it down in here, I talked about an extension of what I mentioned earlier, that it's not only anticipating what someone's feeling, but also the needs that they have. And one of my virtues I followed through with was autonomy. Everybody, I'll say it again, I probably said it a couple times before in other episodes, everybody has the right to fuck up their own lives. Everybody has that right. It just depends where you come into that picture. Do you have a responsibility? Is it your responsibility? Is it something that you should just let go? I put an example here of hoarding. Go try to help someone with hoarding. See how well that goes. You try to clear out a room. You say, do you need this? Do you need this? Oh, I might use that one day. I might use that one day. I might use that one day. If you just say, like, okay, well, you're living with a room filled with shit. You're not going to enjoy this room. Why don't you just get rid of half of it? You might be like, oh, I'm bargaining. That's well. But, like, you kind of got to gauge where they're at and try to see, am I actually helping them? Or am I actually just pushing myself further away? Or am I sounding like a tool to this person? Or how helpful is this really? And honestly, you highlighted it pretty well of trying to read someone's energy, read where they're at, try to put yourself in their shoes. I'm trying to take it as a skill being the empath? To me, the answer is both. What is a good empath? And I don't know. The more I think about it, and the closer you get, the more of a psychopath you tend to sound. I tend to sound like, because I'm like, okay, you got to really anticipate those needs. Okay. Now you really got to dive in, put yourself in their shoes. Imagine walk the way they walk, talk the way they talk, and then you're getting closer. So the closer I get, the more of a psychopath I feel like, because I'm trying to really understand that person, what makes them tick, how to operate within that. And then the skill part of it, aside from understanding, I think Derek had a good part about pouring from the empty cup. Today, Derek very skillfully did it on the ride over. I told you I was bitching up a storm, this and that. Oh, man, blah, 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 blah. Derek just sat there. Okay, yeah, that sucks. Yeah, man, that fucking sucks. Honestly, that is all that needed to be said. And Derek, fucking great friend, just sat there, was like, yeah, that sounds like it fucking sucks. Honestly, that's all that is needed. And within 5 minutes of getting here, I go, all right, I'm done bitching.
Turned up the tunes.
Yeah, let's put on some music. I'm done.
It's like, thank God, dude. That guy's never going to shut up.
But yeah, that was all I needed. And today, I had an example of it that was good too. I'll pat myself on the back. But someone close to me was telling me about something that really fucking sucks. I didn't have any juices to really be understanding of it, but I was like, pretty much just I allied with her, and I'm like, this fucking sucks. It's not fair. It's bullshit. How are you doing? What are you doing to cope with it? And I left that out there and then got a response back. And I was like, okay, good. I could have just been like, yeah, that fucking sucks. And then that's it. But I was just like, all right, what does she need? All right, I'll ask her out. Fucking sucks. What are you doing to cope with it? So I don't know. I think it's dangerous because the closer you get, you feel a little bit more like a psychopath. But like at the same time, you kind of do, in order to get into someone else's shoes, you got to kind of detach from your own shoes. At least that's the way I feel.
I think at some point in time, you end up either way, you end up becoming a psycho. One, you're either the psycho that sat there for years waiting for this son of a bitch to finally open up their mouth and speak to you and give you the opportunity to be there for them. Or two, you're sitting there devising your plans like, I'm going to get this answer out of them. Yes. Yes.
Looking for the juice.
I'm going to get it.
I'm going to get mine.
Oh, man.
So you end up becoming a psycho either way. You're the psycho who keeps dealing with just either one, you're dealing with someone who's just causing all kind of problems in your life that just you constantly are dealing with this weight that is just unnecessary for you to constantly be putting into your backpack. Or you're the guy who's constantly sitting over there devising plans of like, how am I going to get through to this person today? You know, like what other way can you really phrase it? Like you're going to end up becoming kind of crazy in the process to where like, is it actually beneficial to be that person that's just like constantly sitting there waiting, or just look at the person and go, quit being a pussy?
Like, yeah. No, and then you got to worry about it being like transactional a bit too. Like you kind of got to set boundaries because one, if you make yourself too emotionally available and that's all you're known for, you're going to get worn out pretty quickly. And then on the other side, it's like, is that person going to offer me the same space when I need it? And if you find yourself saying no, then that's probably not a relationship you want to find yourself in. Just because like if I'm going to continue to give you that space to come to and I'm just your punching bag, then this isn't beneficial to me in any way. Like then it drains you. You start looking at that relationship as a hindrance more than it is benefit. And it should be a two-way street. Like if I had to bitch to Brandon about work, no doubt in my mind on the way home, I can do 20 minutes and he would give me the same exact space. But if like every time I try to talk to Brandon about something and he makes it about him, but when he talks about it, he just steamrolls me in a conversation. It's just like that becomes so frustrating. Another part like Brandon brought up too is I think like it does take a lot of skill because you actively have to set your ego aside in the situation. Like you have to set yourself aside, your problems, your thoughts, your needs, your identity, like those all have to kind of go away in that situation. And that takes a lot for people. A lot of people aren't emotionally available enough to make that a common occurrence in their life.
You have any tips for the boundaries that might have to be set?
No. No, I just think I mean I think it is like just identifying those situations where like you understand it can be a two-way street. Like if you want to put yourself out there for someone, you feel like you have the space to do so, and you're willing to put yourself aside, you want to go show up for somebody, like that's your decision. But you got to make sure you're taking care of yourself. You got to make sure you're putting yourself first in these situations where if you're being taken advantage of or things become, you know, transactional, not so much like a relationship, like those can be tough. And those are things that you probably actively have to walk away from as soon as you can, because it's just going to eat away at you. So, but outside of that, I just think as far as the skill goes, like, you know, just making sure like you are actively showing someone like, and I've been guilty of it too, like showing you're very determined to like sit with them, be available for them, make sure that you're you know, being a friend to them in general. Like you like I said, you got to show up in the right place for that. And I think for a lot of people that's tough, and being able to refine that or understanding you don't have the right ingredients. Like I combine it like with like cooking or something. Like, dude, you're gonna screw it up a bunch of times. It's going to take practice. Like you have to make sure that like if you're going to do it, that's great, but it's going to take some of the hardest things anybody can do. And it's shut the fuck up and listen to the person talking to you. Like they're spilling their guts for you, and trying to remove yourself from that situation and just be there with them is so tough for people. And it takes a lot of practice for sure.
I that is definitely something that I thought of is as you become more and more empathetic and as you continue to refine this skill, it only takes more out of you. Like it only takes more of your patience, more of your energy, more of your attention to be able to accomplish the same things. I mean, it's kind of a bold statement, but it's like drugs. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the more someone does something, it's going to take more to get that same feeling that they actually had before.
Been chasing it since 99, brother.
Yeah, those candy cigarettes got me real good. I still can't kick them.
But yeah, no, man, that's such a great point though. I love that.
Because you have more capability to continue to be able to be there. But at what point do you become this like wise old sage? And then at that point, to me, like, I feel like you're pretty beaten at that point to where it's just like, whatever someone talks about at this point, it don't fucking matter. Half the time I ain't even listening. I just got to sit here and be there for them. So,
Yeah. And there's a difference between listening and actively listening. I was thinking about that with work. Like we're told to listen 80% of the time and speak 20% of the time in my job. It's a lot of listening.
Damn, you gotta slip a value proposition in there too?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, dude, it's crazy because you think about that and like, okay, I'm listening. You know, I'm listening to him talk and trying not to figure out where I'm going in the situation more than just if I'm actively listening, which is completely different than listening. Actively listening is like thinking through every word you say, understanding where you're coming from, what even got you to come from there. And that's a whole different ballgame. That actually helps me a lot in my job, but I'm just thinking outside of like the walls of my career, listening is one thing. And to be fair, on the way here, I was listening. Was I actively listening to all the nuances of your job and everything that goes into it? I wasn't thinking too much about it, to be honest, but I was there for you. And like, that's something that takes refining of like, if I truly want to be there in that situation of like actively listening to what you have to say, understanding why you feel that way, making myself available to you as you feel that takes a lot of work.
yeah, because at some point in time, you finally get to the place where like you yourself have to stand outside of time itself to be able to accomplish the same thing. To be able to be there for those people, to be able to actively listen. Like, at that point in time, like, it's empathy to me, and just like all of these topics, like, I start to sit here and think about like having empathy for the rest of the world or the souls that are all around me at this point in time. And you're just like, the fuck did you need to throw that trash out the damn window? Ah, shit. You know, like, well, you start, as you get more and more aware, as you get more and more empathetic, it's just going to take, like I said, and I'm not going to harp on this anymore, it's going to take more energy out of you. but it's going to get more difficult as you go. It's not going to get easier.
Mhm.
It's definitely not going to get easier. And that is, I feel like, why a lot of people don't go after a lot of the topics that we talk about on a regular basis, like to actually hone them in as a skill. Because it's like, well, I mean, right now it's not that hard, but you know, if I keep refining this, it's going to get more and more difficult. That's when have I ever done something, or why would anybody ever do something that gets more difficult as you keep doing it? This is stupid. Am I not trying to get better at this? Like, I don't, it's crazy to like think about that and then transition into sympathy. And what is sympathy compared to empathy? Because if empathy was a freaking roller coaster ride, then what kind of old carnival contraption are we climbing on that is sympathy? Because sympathy, there's a control factor to it.
Yeah, you mentioned the power bit to it.
There's definitely a bit to me of like, and I brought up the oh honey from How I Met Your Mother. Like, oh honey, you know, that type of you honestly, and I'm pretty positive you put it in, you feel this sensation that that person who you're dealing with is lower on the totem pole than you. You got a little chip on your shoulder because you're up here looking down at them like, oh, honey. I mean, how else do we really like sympathy for you, Tit? Like, what is sympathy for you, Lachlan?
First of all, I'm so glad you brought that up because there's not a whole lot of ways to lose some of my respect other than if someone says, oh, honey, directly to me or indirectly around me. I'm like, if you feel the need to use that and then say anything to someone else, I'm like, immediately I have less respect for that person because I'm like, your emotional intelligence is not as high as I thought it was. Sorry, you just got knocked down a peg. Like, not that someone else, my opinion matters to them, but if it did, if they said, oh, honey, followed by anything, I immediately lost a little bit of respect. Trisha actually said it at one point, and I called it out immediately. I was like, oh, no. I was like, why'd you say that? I'm like, you know that's condescending, right? And it was something like, I don't know, it was something like something you don't put in the dishwasher. And it was something I've never owned before. That might not be it, but say that I put something in the dishwasher. I've never owned it before. Oh, honey. And I'm like, we don't call each other honey. I'm like, you know, I've never owned one of these before, and that doesn't make me less of a person, right? Oh, no, I was just saying. Right. But like when you say it like that, it comes off condescending. So just so you know, that's something that I don't like. but I would say sympathy to me is about understanding someone's mood, attitude, and feelings. And then just try not to step on them. Just try to be free of judgment. That's one of the markers in that one video on here. Just try to be free of judgment and try not to sneer down at someone through your nose and try to just be open to them, to their perspective, because I think that's one of the things that's missing from sympathy is perspective. I think that's just something that until you do sympathy at the wrong time, you won't understand the difference.
Yeah.
It'll take saying something messed up to one person and you think you're helping and you're not. And I think it really just takes those instances of you trying to help, realizing it's a mistake, and then learning to do better.
That's a crazy position to be in. Thinking that you're doing something good and then just getting slapped in the face by yourself. Well, screw that person. You know, well, I tried to help. Why didn't you take my help? You know,
Did you help?
Yeah, you definitely didn't.
No,
but
you didn't. You didn't.
I mean, where I was going at with genuine and authentic sympathy was actually seeing someone in a tight situation, in a shitty situation, going through some pain, going through some sadness, and knowing what it feels like to be that type of person. But then I lead right back to that's what empathy was for me, is matching the person's energy.
I have a good example in a second.
Fire away.
So here's a good example. I don't need to understand how this lady felt. But last week, there was a person, she was taking a walker out of her hatchback, and it is blistering wind, snow coming out of every corner, and the lady needed help. She didn't ask for it, but we walk up, hey, you need a hand? So then we took it out for her. We could have just left it at that, but it's like violent wind is coming at your face with a bunch of snow, so it's like hard to look up. So what my coworker and I did was we actually blocked the wind and walked her to the door. And I didn't need to understand how she felt, but I felt bad that she was going to get the wind and snow knocked in her face while she's trying to walk. I don't need to understand. Maybe she got neuropathy, maybe her back's bad, all of these different things. I don't need any of that. I just stopped at Sympathy. I was like, this looks kind of fucked up. I'm going to help. So then we just blocked the wind as she walked to the door. 20 feet took 2 minutes out of my day. But great difference between Sympathy and Empathy. I didn't need to go all the way to Empathy. I just stopped at Sympathy, and it wasn't a negative thing. It was just, that was all I needed.
So could that be one of those instances where you get to experience that? Because I feel like you could walk up to an old man and see him trying to do that stuff, and he'd be like, get the fuck away from me, little kid. Or I don't need your help, youngin', or some bullshit along those lines of, I can do it my damn self, boy.
So like, I guess I was mistaken, because in the beginning I was thinking about that. I was thinking making sure they're okay with me asking if I could help them.
Well, you did it cleanly. The way you phrased it was, I mean, I can't sit here and go, oh, well, I mean, that person could have got really shitty. No, you did it clean. Like that was the way to do it. But has that come from years of actually trying to be that type of person?
Years of different experiences and training, and in counseling, they do a lot of the person first type of training. Like,
okay.
You're a person before any disability or any kind of judgmental thing. You're a person first. And a lot of people, you need, if you're gonna hold the door for someone who like has a wheelchair, maybe ask them, hey, do you mind if I get the door for you? Can I help you? Rather than just saying, do you need help? Like, or jumping on it.
There's a fine line between pity and sympathy, for sure.
Yeah.
You think about pity, like think about, I feel like, oh, you poor thing, it must be so awful for you. That's pity.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like I'm really sorry that happened. Like, please let me know if there's any way I can help. Like that feels like sympathy. You know, that you're mentioning, like that feels like, I don't know. I just feel like there's a very thin line that you have to, which makes sympathy so like, I think it's the most volatile one here too, because like, it feels like it comes from a good place, but it always, I don't know. Like for me, it just always comes off artificial for the most part. You know, you think about like a coworker and someone's family passed or something, and you go like, oh, like I'm so sorry for your loss. Like, are you sorry? Like, I don't know. Like, are you just saying that because you feel like you should say it? Like, are you sorry? Like, I don't know. Like, it does feel a little artificial, and the other ones definitely feel like you're digging into a deep meaning. So on the front, sympathy seems like, okay, like you are offering something, you know, and maybe it's not a lot, but it's at least like, okay, like I do want to let them know, like I am thinking of them, and that's good enough. But the pity side of like looking down upon someone, that's why I think like the power bit here, like, is so crazy, because it's exactly what I see. It's like you're looking down on someone like, oh, I'm so sorry you were in that accident. It must be terrible. Or like, it sounds like you're going through a hard time. God, you must feel terrible. Or like any of that. Like it comes off so disingenuous.
I feel like a perfect example would be.
Oh, okay. Oh, bless you.
I thought someone was going to say. I thought someone was going to say, "God bless you," and then that would be my bit right there of like, "Oh, God bless you." Like, what do I need blessed?
Yeah.
Do I need blessed?
Yeah. What about?
I mean, all I did
need
was
blessings?
sneeze.
It turns out that bless you thing is that it's not true. Supposedly your heart stops. That's why people say bless you. Nope. Supposedly not really.
God, debunked it, not myth-bustered that one too.
I could be wrong. Let's just put that out there. I could be very wrong.
Yeah, I guess like the base of it, like it's a difference between like feeling with or feeling for. Like you feel for someone, and like, man, you were hitting the bit about it becoming like condescending. Like, that's so easy, like for it to come off condescending. And like, you have to tote this line with sympathy so tight where like, I would argue sometimes it's better to shut the fuck up. You're not, what are you
You're not
really
wrong.
what are you really offering to the situation? Like when I told you like there's a clear difference between when I told both of you that my car got totaled. Like the sympathetic side would be, oh dude, you were in a car accident, man, that sucks. So anyway, did you see that, this guy might sign with the Steelers? I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm sorry you think that sucks. I'm still thinking about it, clearly, whatever. And then like a step deeper would be like, oh man, like that really sucks. Like, are you okay? Or can I offer you something? Can I pick you up on the way? Do you need a ride? Can I do you want to borrow my car? Like, there's a whole different step to that where like, honestly, man, like you must not be connected with that person deeply enough to offer them anything other than a well wish to the point where like, is it really even worth the while to say anything at all? Like we went to a funeral home for one of our buddies and like I had trouble figuring out like what to even say. Like I haven't spoke to him or his dad who passed in years. And like showing up was enough. And I decided like that was enough. Like I'm not gonna go and turn around and be like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. Or if you ever want to talk about I haven't talked to this dude in 15 years. Like I should just like read the room. I showed up at least to like, be there presently, and that should just be about it. There doesn't sometimes need to be that extra step.
What else could you have really have done with not having that relationship and that connection anymore?
Nothing. I think showing up was enough for sure. But like I've caught myself in the past of like sympathy going like, if there's anything I could ever do, let me know. And I guess that's
Chop your right testicle off.
Yeah, no, I'm good. No, thanks. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
Sorry, brother. I'm
Yeah,
really
anyway,
sorry.
I gotta go. I gotta go. I got tea time.
Lance Armstrong now.
It wouldn't make biking easier. I do see what he was thinking of. Now that I'm back on the bike, like it makes sense. Sometimes I wonder if he did it to himself, to be honest. But that could be a whole different episode. So I just not harping on this too much.
Cycling back.
Yeah. I just think sympathy comes off sometimes where like, sure, like you can offer, that well wish or like whatever it might be, but just leave it at that, or sometimes just read the room and understand that, you don't even have to offer that sometimes.
Do you, and I should not even think this or put this into
okay.
reality, but do you think anybody has ever said that to someone and there was, if there's anything I could ever do, please let me know. And they turn around and look at you and go, yeah, kill yourself. Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
I bet there is some outlandish requests. Actually, I can
Yeah.
go for a BP chicken sandwich right now.
Yeah. Are you really gonna get in the car and drive to BP right now and then kill yourself?
Bitching and running.
I'm just like, but no,
I get it.
really, that was like, I mean, it's a dark place, but like,
I get it.
holy shit. Like, honestly, now I see how that statement could be the dumbest statement you could probably say at that point in
Yeah.
time.
No, you know what it reminds me of? I wrote this down. Do you remember the picture in grade school? Brandon and Mike, because we went to the same educational system, through the same educational system. There's like the picture of like the kids trying to watch the baseball game. That's the difference between equality and equity. And like equality is like they're all like different like sizes, but they all get the same box. And some kids still can't see, but equity is different size boxes, and that allows every kid to see over the fence. Like that's I just feel like with that like. With like equality, you're just like in going into sympathy bit, it's like you're just saying it just for you're not offering anything to help. And then the equity bit made me think just because it's like you're actually actively doing something. You're taking a step further to actually offer some type of action to help with their situation or whatever it might be.
I thought you were going to hit me with the cat. Just keep hanging in there.
God, I mean, could you imagine? Yeah, that's your offering of sympathy is just keep hanging in there, man. I honestly rather someone just tell me that, than some like half-assed well wish that after you offer it to me, it's just gonna go right out your head and you're gonna think about what you're having for lunch. Wild. Okay, so that's great. I don't like sympathy. I do like compassion.
You do like compassion?
I think compassion speaks to you really, really digging into like a true connection with someone. Like there's that's kept for like the true people, like your homies, your close family, like those that's where like I feel like you have the best place to show compassion, and maybe not, maybe it can happen in everyday life. What do you think?
I think compassion for me was this was the actual relationship or connection that I have that I would do anything for that situation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's kind of where I was at with like, I'm very compassionate about a lot of things. I'm very compassionate about the people that are in my life. And there are specific, I mean, there are people who I I guess I would say there are people who I feel like would not have the same level of compassion that I would have for them.
Yeah.
In the sense of like maybe I am too compassionate of a person
Mhm.
to where that's where I said this one for me is probably the most dangerous out of all of these, because I feel like the compassion bit is tied to an actual real relationship or a connection that you have with someone,
Mhm.
and that can quickly and easily feel not the way that you might have felt
Mhm.
with actions relayed back to you.
Mhm.
So you're going 1,000 miles an hour trying to like help this person because they're in a tight jam, and they look back at you and they're like, why are you here? And you're like, why am I here?
Wow.
Like, holy shit.
Like, thanks, man. I guess I understand now.
Yeah. And that to me was like, that's where I feel like this one, I don't know, compassion is a hard one because I think it's something that the world needs a lot more of, because we don't have those times of like, I don't want to bring it up, but like I think about COVID as a perfect example.
Mhm.
And just like if COVID wasn't in your backyard, no one gave a shit.
Yeah.
But like you were in a big city like New York and you see people literally hugging their grandparents through a freaking like shower
Glass, yeah.
curtain, and you're like, are you not seeing what's on the news right now? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know if it's real or not. We're not going to go into fake news or real
Mhm.
news, but like, hey man, there's a bunch of fires going on in California right now. Or did we all just forget about like what happened to North Carolina last year with all the floods
Mhm.
and like the fact
Mhm.
that it was completely still pretty devastated for like a long time after that? Like,
Mhm.
oh, nope, all the news crews pulled out. We're done and over with. I think that to me was like where compassion,
Mhm.
I don't know. To me, it's one of the most dangerous in this list that we were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was struggling with trying to differentiate it between that and empathy. I think compassion's more of like a deeper connection, more even of a long-term expectation. Like I feel like you can offer anyone empathy, but compassion's more of it's a part of yourself, whether it's like I thought about even injustices in the world, like you think of like going in takes a compassionate person to go out and feed the homeless actively. And not even like doing it for themselves, not even telling anyone they're going to do it. Like going out and seeing that a person is struggling more than they are, and they want to go out and right that wrong in the world. Or I guess it's just actively looking. So empathy is like truly understanding, but for me the compassion was truly understanding and then finding a way to act upon it to solve the problem. And that's where it definitely is for, like I said, those OGs in the world, man. Like whether it's the person who wants to go out there and help with your mental health, and they want to like sit there and, okay, what are the steps we can take to get you out of this hole? Or like the homeless thing. Like I said, like, okay, like cool, like this person wasn't gonna have a meal unless this organization was set around it. I want to go out there and do that. And like that takes someone to take a step further and make that about their identity. But I also think it'd be like a tricky little bitch, man. Like if you're just, again with the empathy too, if you're just going out there and like actively throwing yourself in these situations and not worrying about, are you being taken advantage of, or are you putting yourself in a situation where you're pouring from an empty glass?
Mhm.
It's going to eat you up so quickly. And I know you just mentioned that, but it is so true with any of these is you really got to do a wellness check of yourself first before you can start to offer these from a true place of wanting to really care.
What's the gold from the tit pot?
I would say, to me, compassion. I'm gonna try not to like go verbatim off of what I have on here. I would see compassion as kind of where the other two fall short. It's gonna be repetitive to what you two said, but along with what Tit was saying about equity, compassionate. I think there's a necessary component of equity where someone's missing, show a little bit of compassion. For me, I try to treat everybody almost for their sense of equity. Like, say that I knew one of you wasn't doing well financially. We don't talk about it. Like, say that I knew we'll just imagine Derek owed someone $3,000 and he's trying to catch up to it desperately. And I know whenever we go to the store, like, I know he really wants a Red Bull, but I just don't even ask. I just go in and go, hey, they got a 2 for $3. And I just show up with a Red Bull. I just be compassionate because I'm not going to think about like, oh, he must be thirsty. He must be, they're already programmed into me. I'm like, Tit really wants a Red Bull, but he's not going to go get it because he knows it's not a good decision. It's not financially responsible, but he's struggling to stay awake. I'm just going to show up with it. I ain't going to say it. I ain't going to ask. If anything, I might even lie and be like, oh yeah, they were 2 for $3. Meanwhile, it's like $4 each. Like, so for me, compassion is where it's really needed. Like, show some compassion. There's a great line. I don't speak ill of the dead, but my neighbor who used to be an asshole.
Another R.I.P. baby.
Used to be an asshole. I am speaking a little bit ill. He would probably agree with me if he was here right now, but based on the way I'm treating.
All right, we're gonna bring up Hit's former neighbor here on Zoom.
But from the grave. But I remember one time my neighbor Sean, he is a super respectable man. One of these giant Irishmen who just heart of gold. His dad passed away, and his dad was his neighbor. So across the street lives me and the guy who's next to me, who treats all of our neighbors like shit. So that guy went over to Sean because he had a bunch of people over and they were parked across from his driveway. And he's like, hey, you need to move this car. And he's like, hey, man, please have some compassion. My dad just died. And he goes, oh, my heart just bleeds for you. And it's like, that's not what you say to somebody like that. Meanwhile, give you perspective, this guy's like 6'3", 6'4", and he could like rip a phone book in half, like at like 60 years old. This guy's no one to fuck with. But he was asking him, have some compassion. I know that I'm doing the wrong thing. It's not hurting anybody. Can you have some compassion? Because I don't feel good. My family's distraught. Mm-hmm. They're coming over so we can all be together. So to me, there's a state of inequity because they're going through a really hard time. So for me, compassion is trying to demonstrate a way to kind of bring other people up when they're down. Yep. So for me, compassion, it's basically where everyone else falls short. And in here in our definition, it talks about all the things that sympathy and empathy demonstrate, but there's some action. So for me, it's balance and the inequity is where compassion falls in.
So did that guy have apathy in that time?
Oh yeah. I remember that guy. I could distract myself and tell a few more stories. That guy, I think at one point he put a boulder underneath my brother's Ford Explorer, trying to ruin his tire, and my brother just drove over it, and he was like, oh, I guess somebody put a boulder in front of my tire. Neither here nor there. It just gives a demonstration of how much apathy that guy had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that not give a shit. I think, okay, so the apathy side is just being numb to the situation. Like, can we agree on that? Like, you just don't give a shit, which I think now can be beneficial sometimes because you can't possibly be compassionate towards everything. And the idea I came up with was thinking about, like, if you just go on and I'm a compassionate person. Okay, dude, I'm going to type in GoFundMe.com. You give me your credit card and you just start clicking on every fucking cause that's out there. You're so damn compassionate. Money's not an object. Just go ahead. You want to care about everybody? Go ahead. And like, you can't do that. You can't be there for everybody. You can't be there for every cause. You do have to be selective of your energy. So I think the apathy side is like, it's a little going through the motions, not being emotionally aware. I do think there's a healthy bit to it to make sure that you're keeping yourself in check, but yeah, I just think of the situation where it's like you're kind of numb to it, like, or I've actually thought of the situation I found myself in recently because I was in the doghouse with my girlfriend. Like, that apathetic person is like when my girlfriend's mad at me and like you say something and they just kind of roll their eyes and look away. They're not engaged in the conversation, give you short answers. They kind of just like, oh, like, you're not getting away with the stuff you usually get away with, you know? Like, that's apathetic. It's like, I'm not even like opening myself up to you. That door is shut right now because you fucked up. And that's what I think about, like, the apathy side. It's like, that's chosen apathy. Now, like, with your mention the neighbor, whatever that might be, like, Yeah, that guy just has a lot of things that he needs to focus on or deal with on his end that puts him in that situation. But I think of like the apathy of like just being numb. I think people can just find themselves in that cloud quickly where like I'll speak the point that like I feel like I was there recently, like probably over like and you know how being in Western Pennsylvania in winter is, it's gray for 130 days straight and it's cold and you can't go do the things like I love riding my bike. I feel better after 2 days riding my bike than I probably did for the last 3 months. Like doing those things that I love, like it becomes really easy to go through the motions. Oh man, like I'm at work and like there's a situation, but I just like I don't give a shit. Or like my brother texts me and he wants to go meet. Hey, we need to go to the bar. I need to go to the bar. Like well, do you really need to go to the bar again? Like or just like showing up in those ways where it's like you again you can't pour from the empty glass and I think that's the first step is like with this like if you're not checking all the boxes on your own side and I feel like I was there recently then there's no way you're going to be able to open yourself up to other people. And that can be maybe where that neighbor was in a long term, but hopefully that's a battle that you're able to find out on your own or fight on your own. But I think on the other side, you're speaking to the apathy being healthy, you do need to know when to shut that faucet off.
So you're saying that apathy is actually all of these are intertwined to each other. So not having enough empathy for yourself would put you into a place of being apathetic.
We've never, we didn't even talk about the fact that how to correlate to ourselves at all. We were talking about other people the whole time. But, okay, so roll through it real quick. So thinking of what does sympathy for yourself look like? Oh, I feel sorry for myself. I'm just going to sit here and do absolutely fucking nothing about it.
I mean, all of them.
And then empathy is like, okay, I feel shitty. Why do I feel shitty? I'm going to sit here and write it down. I'm going to think through it a little bit. Cool. That's empathy towards yourself. The compassion is then taking the actual steps to get yourself out of that rut, loving and caring yourself, respecting yourself, and then taking those steps forward. And then if you can get through all three of those steps, then maybe you can start offering it to other people.
It's funny because if you're giving yourself any of those things, if you're not giving yourself compassion, you're a shitty person yourself.
Yeah. And then you're probably a shitty person to other people.
But I think empathy is the one you can get away with of being towards other people. You can be empathetic and not compassionate, but if you're empathetic but not compassionate to yourself, then you're doing a disservice to yourself.
Yeah, but then you're probably just empathetic for the wrong reasons. You're probably judging that person. You're probably projecting your own shit onto them. You're probably trying to make yourself feel better about the situation by digging into their shit a little deeper. Like, I'm sorry, like if you're not coming from a place where you can set your ego aside, then yeah, you can be empathetic, but you're probably still an asshole.
You're an apathetic empath.
Now we're just combining.
You have empathy, but you're so numb to the empathy that you have no clue what you're doing with it.
Yeah.
Or you could be
I got all this empathy.
What am I doing with it?
Or you're that person at the funeral. Let me know what I can do to help. Well, actually, someone could pick up my mom from, the grocery store tomorrow. Or you think you can? Oh, actually, I'm busy. Then you're an empathetic apath.
Yeah.
Susan, didn't we have plans tomorrow? Yeah, we got plans tomorrow.
Sorry, I wish I could.
Yeah.
Apathy to me was just, like you said, is being completely numb. But I feel like at some point in time I feel like the apathy for yourself might be the superpower out of these ones. So being able to numb yourself, and we've talked about this before, and I'll bring up our freaking homie David Goggins, you sweaty, slimy bastard. I honestly think about Goggins of like enough being a wimp, it's time to like get after your shit.
Yeah.
And so by turning yourself numb to the actual situation, you're giving yourself that ability to open up that avenue for other stuff to come in. Where like I feel like if you're sitting there and just having so much sympathy for yourself, then you're gonna be what's the dog? Deputy dog. You're gonna be deputy dog, just always real sad, real down in the dumps, kind of. Yeah, well, it's Tuesday, so I guess the sun gonna come. Nah, maybe the sun won't come out. But no, you're just completely bonkers sad all the time, completely bonked out to the point where you get nothing. You get nothing done. You don't do anything. You don't accomplish shit.
Mhm.
So at some point in time, you had to become apathetic to your situation and be like, that's enough. I'm going to go numb to all of this and we're just going to start making shit happen. But if you don't have the compassion to start that process, I mean, they all intertwine to each
I
other,
have the
man.
good example that can kind of highlight your point.
Please.
We talked about it probably within 4 episodes. There was a time when I was down in the dumps on myself, right before Sympathy Rock. Did not feel good. I was definitely in a state of anhedonia. Big word. Anhedonia is whenever things that used to bring you pleasure do not bring you pleasure anymore. It usually happens in people who have depression, and that is one of the symptoms. I was experiencing anhedonia. Things that usually brought me pleasure did not. And I was just like, you know what? Fine. If that's not going to bring me pleasure, I might as well work on stuff, work on myself, work on my school, work on work, and then eventually head towards my finish line. And by the time I got to Slippery Rock, I was a newly created person. I still held on to a lot of my principles and values and self, but as far as like my work ethic and everything, I was just in beast mode. And I was like, nope, you're in beast mode. You don't really need to feel bad for yourself. Feeling sorry for yourself is for another day. We're getting on that grind. So I definitely went into the apathetic self of, all right, just jump on the grind.
Yeah.
Get after it.
Definitely another way that it can become beneficial to you. And thinking of like, forget who said it. It was probably like Mike Tyson or something. Talk about just becoming the task.
I think it was Mike Tyson.
And removing your emotions from the situation. Like that's such a good way where like that can be turned into a superpower where if I'm just numb to the situation and just talk about even motivation coming after action, and motivation never comes before action. Like you're never gonna motivate yourself really to do anything. Like you just kind of have to start doing it, and then the motivation to continue to do so will follow. But that's like that's such a key point for me because I'm thinking about apathy of like what was the big word you said?
Anhedonia.
Apathy and anedoma or whatever.
Anhedonia.
Anhedonia. Have you been there before? I've never been there.
Yeah, it's in Greece, I think.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I feel like that just builds up like those other powers that you have where it's okay. Like if I can take that where it's like all these gray clouds and all this bullshit, like okay, like I'm already at rock bottom. I'm kind of numb to the situation anyway. If I can just actively push myself to go do something, literally anything for myself, that momentum carries, and then it becomes a way for you to kind of crawl yourself out of that situation. But it wouldn't have started without you just like removing all the emotion from the situation, all the I don't want to, or I don't feel like it, or here's all the 10,000 reasons why I shouldn't, couldn't, don't want to do it. You just go and do it. Then all of a sudden that momentum builds and you find yourself on the other side.
I don't want to not seem empathetic, but I got an example. Boom. No, so right before you guys came over, I wanted to do an ice bath before you guys came over. And Anastasia was going to do one with me, and she decided not to because I told her, we won't do it. And then I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going down. I'm jumping in real quick. And she's like, I didn't psych myself up, so I was like, you would do it. Anywho, I go down, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just staring at the water. I'm just staring at the ice bath. And I'm just literally, she's like, what's wrong? You all right? And I just started crying, dude. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I really can't I can't go to work. Like, I say that boldly because I'll still wake up tomorrow. I'll go to work. I'll still do a damn good job. But just mentally, I am overworking for somebody else. Just physically overworking for somebody else. I'm sick and tired of not feeling appreciated or like truly respected with everything that I've accomplished, especially at the company that I'm at right now. I feel like I've been arguably undermined for so many reasons, so many times, and I've brought so many good things to these guys.
Yeah.
Like so many things that make them look better now, things that they do that send products out looking fancier and cleaner, just the ability to be able to teach the guys and get in their hands dirty with them, regardless. I was just like, she's like, she looked at me and she said, I get all that, but like, you just gonna get in the damn water? And not that she phrased it that exact way, but like she's like, all right, go upstairs and get a shower and get ready, or like do this thing. And I looked at her and I was like, yeah, fuck, I'm gonna do this thing.
Yeah.
So I did the thing, and I got in. I stood there for a little while. I was really contemplating it, and I just dropped in, and I was just like, she goes, you did it, Hoss. How easy was that? And I was like, it was real easy. Now I just got to start this damn company because I gotta get the hell out of here. But yeah, for me, like I was sitting there having all this sympathy for myself, and finally, like through a personal, like I actually did need someone to just say like, you can do this, just fucking do it. Why are you waiting?
Yeah.
There's no reason to wait. Just do the damn thing or let's move on. Cause I was sitting there and I was honestly I told her, I said, I feel like I have to do these types of things to be able to be the type of person that can do the types of things that I want to do. And then I thought about that statement. I was like, that's such a stupid statement. Like, I don't have to be able to do an ice bath to be able to like run my own company or like work for myself and like do these. I'm like, the fuck is going on here, dude? Your shit is all fucked up right now. And it is time to rewire because what is going on here? So yeah, I don't know how that really correlated too damn well, but it was me like,
that. But I think one thing I thought of too is like you're removing emotion and logic from the situation. So even like talking to your neighbor, like he wasn't acting out of logic or like a positive emotion at least. And I think whether it's a positive or negative when it comes to apathy, like you are, I guess, maybe just logic. Then you are removing logic from the situation in the way you're acting. Because if you sat there and really broke it down, then you know, okay, there could be a million reasons why you wouldn't or would do something, and that's the same way. It's like it can be a benefit. If I overthink this too much, I'm never gonna do it. I just need to do it. Or if I just do it, well, shit, I'm gonna seem like an asshole. Maybe I need to think a little bit more before I act.
I think the hard thing in that situation with Titty's example is like if both those people actually met each other on the logical sense of like yes, what his neighbor was saying was like, come on, dude, just like let it go. But when he opened up his mouth and was like, come on, man, have a little compassion, we can all sit here and understand completely where the hell he was coming from.
Right.
But that dude the guy who's a real jerk could easily sit there and go, who's ever had compassion for me?
Yeah.
So fuck your compassion.
Fair enough.
You know, like
Fair enough.
what?
Yeah.
It's a hard game. So like if you would have been met with, hey man, all my family's coming over. We just lost my dad. I know they're probably going to park in incorrect places or places that would be a little bit of inconvenience to you today. But can we just like today, one day, I'm not going to like harp on people for parking in the wrong place. Is that okay? Oh, dude. Yeah, you know what? Today, I get that. Versus like saying something to somebody that maybe they never experienced themselves, and that in turn was like, man, fuck your shit. Like, screw that. I don't give a shit. You know? Did anybody have compassion for me when Sharon died? No one had compassion when Sharon died. Everyone hated me on the street, so no one talked to me. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know the guy's situation. That's a bold statement to make, but like, that's where I was coming from with that of like, if you actually truly hit someone with the actual facts and what was going on, then you could both meet each other with the real nit and gritty nuts and bolts and see each other for the actual parts of the situation.
Yeah.
Versus like overarching type of comments that could be taken incorrectly. To me.
No, I completely agree.
Do you feel like you've experienced empathy from your animals?
Yeah.
Or pet? I mean, let's not just keep it just on animals. Like, do you feel like you have people in your life that pets, animals, people?
You keep saying like not pets,
spirits,
but specifically pets, maybe people.
Maybe people?
I'm just kidding. No, okay. So thinking about it, yes. Like, okay, the first question was obviously about like the pet situation. I think about Kodak a lot because Kodak was like someone who, I mean, I guess we're toting on like probably the empathy side with him for sure, in the sense of like he never had to make it about him. He wouldn't just go blabbering about his day. He's a dog. But mostly the fact that like, like when I was having a bad day, like he knew. Like it was like, oh, come by, I'm just gonna sit head on lap and we'll just sit here. I'm never gonna make it about me. I won't run and get the leash. I don't need to play. I'm just gonna sit here with you until you feel that you have sat here long enough. Same thing with like, on the other side though, is like if I'm ready to go, have a great day, and like, hey, oh, we're ready to go, cool, let's go. I'm ready to go do it. Like he was right there with me, and it's so funny to think about. Like it's so true that dog is a man's best friend for sure. Like they will be there, whatever you want, whatever you need, they're going to be there. I do think man is just a dog's really good friend though. Definitely not their own best friend. Dogs probably have some killer dog friends that like they show up either way. We're probably just the really good friend. Like, we chill. He gives me a house to hang out with. I do got to clean up some of his fucking mess. I'll be there while he cries like a little bitch or whatever. But yeah, I just think, with that dog, man, he just knew how to read me so well. And it didn't take much of like, obviously, I didn't have to sit there and like, oh, come here, let me pick you. I need like he would just be there, and that's what made that dog really cool. Yeah, I mean, I think the one cool thing about this situation is like, I can't just speak to one person in my life that offers me that space, because I feel that I've refined the people in my life so well that between family and just the core group of friends that we have, like I feel like I had that space with everybody. Now I'm not going to put myself out there to other people because of that, and I think that's a benefit. I think some people kind of fall into like if they don't have that support system, then all of a sudden like you're going to find yourself in a situation where they're spilling, they're spilling their guts to whoever will listen, and that just becomes tough because you're probably not getting the emotional support you need off of that, and man, that's a tricky game to play because you're seeking out the needs that you have, but you're just not finding the actual person to be there and listen to you and want to make that not just a one-off thing, but a true relationship where like again it's a two-way street. You can be there for them, and that becomes tough. But I think what's really cool is right now that I have that support system where I can go to my family. I have the close group of friends where I don't feel like where I'm at work and I just need to like I don't ever dump my feelings at work, or like I think about work just because where I spend the majority of my time outside of my family and friends. But that's one thing where like you don't see me like going to even when my best friends at work, like not a lot of talk about my personal life. When I do something fun, sure, if I'm on a vacation, great, how's the weekend, cool, but like really digging into me, I don't think a lot of people know a lot about me, and I like keeping it that way. And really it's really something a lot of people probably don't have, and I actually, when thinking about this, felt really good about.
I don't mean this as a shot to you, but I mean this as a shot to both of us. And I don't know your situation, but I feel like I would like for you to come back on that comment of man being dog's best friend.
Yeah.
When you have a dog after you've fully healed yourself.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm still in that process of fully healing myself. That's why I am not trying to like jump on a lot of other things that people are in general in life, because I'm trying to find that version of me that I feel is healed and can handle all that type of stuff.
Mm.
But I feel like the dogs that have been in my life have not got the best version of me.
I agree with that. And I'm also very cautious of the fact that I probably won't get a dog until I get to that point.
Yes.
I'm done getting, I will say it. I'm not getting a dog until I feel like I'm there. It just won't happen.
Because I think about that sometimes with Ruby. Like I do a damn, like Anastasia and I do a damn good job together.
Did you get Ruby at a low point in your life? I don't remember.
No, I got Ruby in an exciting point in my life.
Okay. See, with Kodak, I got him at a criminally low point in my life. And that unfortunately probably set the tone. Now, that being said, by the end of his life, I was a completely different person, and he helped me through that journey. But there's something to be said, like you mentioned, maybe there is another part of a relationship with an animal that you don't really get to until you're fully in tune with yourself.
Yeah, I would say that's a strong possibility, man.
Yeah.
Because I know from experience with Bosco. Bosco gave me that same type of situation that Kodak gave you, of just could tell you weren't feeling it and just sat with you. Didn't expect anything out of you. Didn't try to play. Didn't grab his toys. He just sat with you, and that was that. I think of I think of dogs, and I'm curious and wonder if there are people in our lives or people in the world in general who are living that exact path of like a dog. And in the sense of what I mean by that is just you are an empath for your entire life.
Yeah.
You're not someone who's going to potentially do all these crazy, amazing things, but you're just the person who's there. You're the anchor to all these different people that are in your life.
Yeah.
And you don't realize how much true impact that you had or that how beneficial your life actually was until it's your funeral and there's a line around
Yeah.
the block
Yeah.
and the parking lot's filled.
Mhm.
And there's people parking in everywhere. There's people parking on a main drag in Bethel Park because that many people showed up for this person who passed
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, and that makes me think like, man, like did I treat my relationship with my dog more of like a this is a benefit to me, how much is it a benefit to him? Maybe. I don't know. I still feel like I gave him a great life, like for
Yeah,
sure. I
yeah.
definitely feel that way. But like going back into thinking that of like human with human and like thinking the same context, like, oh, Derek's my best friend, and then I would go, oh, he's just my really good friend. Like thinking of that, like that problem's like think of like someone like at work. Like there's no one individually. I'm just thinking of the situation that would arise in where it's like that person feels like because they don't have a true like real best friend or something. Like Derek always listens to me. He always gives me great advice. He hangs out with me sometimes. Like that's my best friend. And like for me, like I haven't shared anything about me with you at all. Like you don't know the first thing about me. It's just always what benefits you. And man, I have definitely in my life fell into a lot of times where people go like, "Oh, dude, Derek's my best friend." Like it's no one in like this room or like even
Yeah,
our
yeah, no,
core
I
friend group, but
feel
like
you.
like outside of those, like people I've like interacted with like at school or whatever it might be, I'm like, dude, like I do not feel the same way about you. And that's probably because I've overextended myself in that situation to make them believe something that genuinely wasn't felt both ways.
You're just a dirty, dirty girl.
Okay, that's not nice. I'm not a slut. I'm not an empathy slut. We had an hour yet?
Also, whenever you were joking about being a dog, I was gonna go rough until you started getting real deep, and I'm like, I'm not that cocky. I'm gonna pump the brakes. You were like, yeah, this person who just touched make an impact. They got a line around the corner. I'm like, all right, I'm out. I was gonna do it as soon as I got it. I would go rough.
For you, Tit, how much empathy have you experienced with pets?
So I definitely have had. So I've had a lot of pets. I would say some of the best examples are through. There's only been one cat that has been in my life as a pet. Dogs, better examples. Our dog Buddy, phenomenal. Like if you ask any of my family, you'll say, "Who's your soul dog?" We mentioned on here. Buddy's it. Gino's right up there with him. But yeah, Buddy, he could feel when my mom was sick. Like I'm not gonna spoil it with like, biological things like senses and whatnot, but he could tell when my mom was not doing well, and she had a really hard time whenever he passed because she got through a lot of the dark days. Just him coming over, knowing it was a bad day, and for context, you guys know my mom's deal, but like my mom, she's a double transplant. She had diabetes for years. She had a failing pancreas, failing kidneys. She was in a really bad car accident. Like all kinds of bad things happened. My dog Buddy, it was a really bad day. He already knew. I can't say he knew. I assume from the signs he exhibited that he knew something was wrong based on his behavior. So he would go up, seemed like my mom was doing really bad. I could tell because we have words. But my dog, he would just be able to know something was going on. He went over, sat with her. That's all he did. He just sat with her, Might steal her seat whenever she got up just to tease her. Like knew and understood what someone needed, and he was able to give that to them. Whether that being acting like silly, just have his tongue out, and he had a thing about smiling. I know Derek has seen much more pictures of Buddy, but I know you've probably at least seen one. He had a way that he'd just keep his mouth open that was legitimately a smile. And people say dogs can't smile. He did. But my dog Charlene, she also had a really good example. She's a little Pekingese, and we're sitting in a Chevy Impala. It's July. I'm with my mom and my grandma in the front seat because I'm the smallest kid in the car. And we got two dogs in the car. So the car has filled every single seat, and I'm in that middle front seat. And I was sitting there with my mom and grandma. I just ate a jalapeno steak burrito that's burning my stomach from the inside. And what does she do? Calls on my stomach. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm too hot. I'm sweaty. My stomach. And then she's like, nope, I'm not moving. I'm trying to move. I'm like, all right, fine. Just sit there. Dude, a minute later, like 60 seconds, all of a sudden my stomach ache was gone. And I was just like, and then she moved. And I was like, how did you do that?
Sure you didn't shit yourself?
Oh, yeah, I did shit myself. No, but
You
I'll-
and these fucking one-liner zingers.
I was dying. Good thing I wore my brown shorts. But I totally I felt better. My dog, she understood what was needed, but Buddy is actually the real example of he understood what was needed. And then Gino, my brother's going through a rough period. He did the same thing. You know, he understood what Nick needed at different times, or he was there
Yeah.
with him. That was my brother Nick's smoking buddy. He's like, all right, come on, Gino, we're going out for a smoke.
He had ulterior motives, dude.
Yeah. He'd just be like, all right, I'm going to roam the yard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think dogs definitely demonstrate a whole lot. Also, I want to chime in real quick about apathy. For apathy, I think a good example of that we didn't mention was when someone goes to shoot the shit with you, you really don't have it in you.
Mhm.
Like, I had something happen yesterday. I was going to a church sale. I was just killing time. And mentally, my brain's not awake yet. I'm just at a church sale. I'm looking for stuff to buy. And this guy, I could tell he's a talker, wants to shoot the shit. So I actually went there and shot the shit with him. I kind of gave up looking around at the stuff I was looking for and actually looking at every single item because I was like, you know what? This guy genuinely is curious about me and wants to know about me and wants to have a good conversation.
Yeah.
And I could tell he is a really good talker and a really good listener. I myself am just not all there. So I kind of just gave up on it and I was like, you know what? No, I am going to shoot the shit with him. Learned a lot. He's a North Sider. He went through a lot of race wars in school. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, forgot. Like that's totally a thing. Even in Pittsburgh, it happens. But I was able to shed a lot of light on a lot of really interesting, rich history. And I was able to share a lot of my memories, and he was able to share a lot of his. And I was like, oh, it's kind of discarded that apathy that my brain was just like, I'm not feeling it. I don't want to talk. I don't even have good conversation.
Yeah.
And I think right now the world's kind of feeling the same way. A lot of people are like, I'm going to walk through and have this fake conversation just so I get through, count the seconds, wait for my turn to talk, and then exit. But anyway, we're still talking about dogs. I just want to plug that in.
That was gold right there.
Yeah.
I feel like I've experienced a dog from all these different categories. I think Bosco was 100% empathetic. I think he could always read the room, always knew what was going on, and was super chill and super relaxed. I think of my childhood dog growing up, Rollins. I think about how compassionate he was. He was just always looking for that time to be on guard. Like he was always like the protector.
Mhm.
And I can remember a time whenever he busted through the screen door or screen window, like little tiny window, busted through the screen and jumped out the window
Oh my
to be
goodness.
able to go across the street whenever my neighbor was picking on my sister. Just like tickling her and joking around. It was an adult, but like he ran right over, got right in between them, and like totally flexed up and was like, I will fuck you up if you touch her one more time.
Yeah.
And so like I think about that, and then I think about Ruby, who is like, I think Ruby for me right now, the lesson that I've been getting from her is like, shut up and just go. Just do it. You don't need to think about it. You need to stop overthinking. You need to act. The time is to accomplish things. The time is not to contemplate things.
Mhm.
And that's 100% Ruby is the apathetic, like, look, we're going to go numb to this because going numb to this is what's going to get us to that level that we want to be at. So shut down the emotions, forget about the bullshit, pick up the toy because movement is life. Shout out my homie's Ego Myth. Movement is life, and you need to start moving, motherfucker. That's what she says. That's what she says. You gotta get moving. Play with that toy. You'll forget all about this. And what do you know? You start joking around, you playing, you're having a good time, and you've totally forgot. Ah, shit. What was I pissed off about?
Yeah, you're more worried about what life's actually about than all the concerns that you're now living over and over again. That might not come to fruition. You're just gonna live in that doldrum.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
we're just gonna sulk.
Yeah, a lot of sulking.
All right, y'all. We appreciate you guys as always. The squad here says, don't trust us, trust yourself, unless it's about talking about a woman and looking tired. 100% trust us and do not make that statement because it will be a bold statement, Cotton, that you will not want to live through. All right, y'all. You guys got anything to add as we ride out here?
Thank you guys for checking in with us.
Later.
All right, peace out, y'all. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks again for tuning in to episode 40, Empathy. Don't hesitate to catch the gang's next release, episode 41, Creativity. Can I Paint My Dreams? Well, let's see where the group takes this one, because creativity can go anywhere. So what do the guys unlock about themselves? What do they unlock about the things they've done before? And where do they want to take creativity for themselves in the future? We'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for tuning in.